Mandarin Chinese pronunciation in a nutshell. Of course, one recording cannot help a person master perfect Mandarin pronunciation, but hopefully this elementary introduction will at least help you to learn the basic similarities and differences between English and Mandarin pronunciation so that it will not be as difficult to start to develop a correct accent over time. As you'll see in our books, we use a special system called pinyin, which is the standard, modern system of Romanized spelling for transliterating Chinese characters. Pinyin literally translates to spell sound. There are several other pronunciation systems like it, designed to help foreigners learn Mandarin pronunciation, but I find this one to be the most sensible because once you learn how to follow it, it can really build a bridge between Mandarin and English in the mind. It is understandable that to the untrained ear, Mandarin and English sound very different. When learning Mandarin, it is important to first accept that there actually are similarities between the two languages. In fact, many consonant sounds, such as, just for example, L, M, N, and so on, sound very similar, if not the same, in both languages. As for vowels, there are also many sounds in Mandarin that we use in English too, such as a, and e. Also, in both languages, we use vowel sounds alone or combined with other vowels. Overall, when we compare the way each language sounds, it can be said that Mandarin is generally pronounced softer than English, and that English is probably pronounced a little harsher. For example, in Canadian English, there are 3 possible ways to say the letter A when it's by itself, depending on the word. There's A as in cake, A as in car, A as in can. In Mandarin, a softer, kind of flat-sounding ah is the only way to pronounce a if it is not in a vowel combination. This is an aspect of Mandarin pronunciation that makes it easier to learn than English. In English, we have many words that are written the same but pronounced differently, such as record and record. This is called syllable stress. With Mandarin, for example, if you look at pinyin words spelled B-A-N-G or L-A-N-G or Y-A-N-G, you can be confident that they are all to be pronounced with the soft ah sound, bang, lang, yang, never bang, lang, yang. The second thing that is important to accept when learning Mandarin is that it's a tonal language. Mandarin has 4 tones, some books would say 5. Tones are a part of why Mandarin is often considered to be an almost musical language. Using the letters M and A to form a word to demonstrate the tones, they sound like this. The first tone, ma, a flat note. Second tone, ma, a rising note. Third tone, ma, a dipping note. And fourth tone, ma, a falling note. Ma, 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 ma. The sound many people consider to be the 5th tone, or like a 5th tone, is the dropped note, which is very quick, sometimes barely noticeable ma. On a few words in particular, it reminds me of what's called the schwa, which in English is that neutral sound that sometimes comes from the a, e, I, o, or u in an English word. For example, the letter I in the word pencil is pronounced as the schwa sound. Usually new students of Mandarin who don't speak a tonal language already themselves are confused by the concept of tones and think that they must put a strict limit on the way one can express themselves in Mandarin. Actually, this is a misconception. Tones are used to differentiate certain words in Mandarin that are otherwise very similar. For example, the pinyin word spelled M-A can mean horse if it is spoken with the 3rd tone, ma, and the verb to scold if it is spoken with the 4th tone, ma. English doesn't have tones like these, but native speakers do learn how to emphasize certain parts of words that are similar, which change the meaning. Think of my syllable stress example from before, record and record. Both words are spelled the same but emphasized in different ways to indicate that the first is a noun and the second is a verb. People who speak English just have to train their ears to accept the main 4 tones of Mandarin Chinese. Just think, you're actually lucky here because there are languages out there with as many as 9 tones. Finally, there are sounds in Mandarin that are not at all in English, of course. There are 10 in particular that new students tend to have the most trouble with. Luckily, there are only 10 of them. We review them in the tutorial track. If you master these 10 sounds and the 4 tones, your Mandarin pronunciation will be much, much clearer. It's important to listen to yourself closely. Don't be shy about it, and pay close attention to how you sound. All day, every day, people all over the planet are speaking different languages to each other with lovely hints of other accents mixed in, and they are understood beautifully. Total perfection does not have to be the goal. However, as with any language, getting the accent right makes a very significant difference to how well you will be understood. It exercises your listening skills, and it helps to make it apparent how much work you have put in. Outside this nutshell, there is still much more ground to cover regarding pronunciation, which can be found in academically vetted sources that are available to everyone. This informal introduction was meant to help demystify the differences between Mandarin and English for English speakers, and to help enrich your family's experience with our books. If you're interested in finding out more information on learning Mandarin, keep up with Little Crab Educational Press on social media to help you find recommended resources for beginners, intermediates, or advanced learners of all ages.